Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, February 16th. Still have some historic cold out across the central part of the U.S. State of Texas, for example, is suffering immensely this morning with widespread power outages and temperatures down near zero in Dallas, 15 degrees in the Houston area. They have another winter storm they'll have to deal with over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. That same storm system will push up into the northeast in the mid-Atlantic region. It looks like it'll produce some significant snow and ice in much of that part of the country on Thursday, and we'll get into that over the next few minutes. Let's take a look here at some of the early morning record or near record low temperatures. Again, dominating the scene out across the central part of the U.S. This is from a website called coolweather.com, COOLWX.com. If you click on the hourly U.S. weather statistics and then go to record breakers, you can pull up this kind of a map. I don't know if it's available on any other website, so it's quite a valuable tool to use. And again, this is record lows or near record lows, and the black circles right in this region right here really show some interesting results this morning. You have daily low temperature records and you have monthly temperature records here. That's the coldest temperature ever recorded during the month of February. And in many spots yesterday morning we had all-time low temperature records. For example, here we have Houston right now, broke the monthly temperature record for February, 14 degrees right now. That may drop another degree or two up in this part of Texas. Mineral Wells down to 2 below, and Abilene near zero. Dallas itself broke the record for the month, 1 degree above zero right now. And all these, here's an all-time record low this morning at Tulsa, Oklahoma, about 13 degrees below. Now these are all unconfirmed observations, but still some amazing cold out here in a very serious situation because power outages are widespread in Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. And again, they have more snow and ice to deal with over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. Well, let's kind of start off here with the focus on the Thursday storm system for the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., kind of with a big picture look here at a blank U.S. map. First of all, both of these storm systems, the one last night and the one coming up later tomorrow into Thursday, end up over Texas and pull out of the deep south. And again, this is a storm system that has some more snow and ice headed for the south central part of the nation over the next 36 hours or so. This previous storm system from yesterday into last night went up into the Ohio Valley, and it is pushing to the north and east from there. Winds flow counterclockwise around low pressure areas. So in this part of the nation, a track like that will pull in some warmer air into the I-95 corridor region. And indeed, temperatures actually rose a little bit in the overnight hours from the lower 30s to the middle 30s in, let's say, the suburbs of Philadelphia, and that prevented any kind of a serious ice buildup. We did have some rain overnight, but generally not a serious ice event in the immediate I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. You had to go well to the north and west of those urban areas, and that's because of that storm track that went well to the west of the I-95 corridor region and allowed for some warmer air to push in, especially aloft in the overnight hours. Now let's move ahead to the next storm system. That next storm system again will go down into the deep south, but this will take a more of a southerly and an easterly track than its predecessor yesterday and last night. In other words, it'll go in this kind of a fashion and end up off the Mid-Atlantic coastline by the time we get to late Thursday night, early Friday time frame. There may be an initial wave that does go up towards the Ohio Valley, but the main system here will be farther to the east. And again, keep in mind the counterclockwise flow of air around low pressure systems. A farther east storm track allows for a colder scenario, a colder environment for the Mid-Atlantic region, and hence we have a much greater chance compared to last night for some significant snow and ice, even in the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. We're talking probably Thursday morning time frame for a burst of accumulating snow at the onset of this storm system in the big cities. It's liable to change over to a wintry mix of sleet, maybe eventually freezing rain, and all that will do is produce an icy buildup on top of any kind of accumulated snow that occurs earlier in this event. We'll also have something we'll watch over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, high pressure really building into the northeast, and I always stress the importance of a cold high to the north for a potential of accumulating snow in the I-95 corridor region. That is kind of a necessary requirement as it anchors in some cold air, and it'll be milder this afternoon, up near 50 degrees in many parts of the I-95 corridor region, but then a cold front passes through. We have a cold, dry air mass moving in on Wednesday with that high pressure system building to the north, and it'll start the day on Thursday right here over northern New England, and that will pump in some colder air at the onset of this storm system. That's why we have a good chance of accumulating snow at the onset, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City on Thursday. Well, let's take a look now at some computer forecast models, no longer the hand-drawn maps here. This is from last night's zero-Z run of the NAM. And what I wanted to point out here is I think Thursday temperatures are really going to struggle to get above freezing in D.C., Philadelphia, especially Philadelphia and New York City. And that's why we have potential big problems with snow and ice. Even if it does change from snow to a wintry mix, level will stay at or below freezing in many of these areas. So this is kind of the area I want to focus in. These are the temperatures at 2 meters, the surface temperatures right in the I-95 corridor region as we begin the day on Thursday morning. So in the low to middle 20s, and just watch what happens as we go through the day. Gets up to about freezing, maybe even a degree or so above freezing, but for the most part it hangs right around the freezing mark. New York City, Philadelphia, D.C. area. This is the forecast map for late Thursday evening going into Friday morning, and then it kind of takes a turn back down over night hours going into Friday morning. This is the Friday morning forecast map. So definitely a colder scenario, colder environment setting up for this late Wednesday night, Thursday, and it looks like it'll last into a Friday morning event. Even in the I-95 corridor region, it'll be a struggle to get above the freezing mark. Well, before we take a look at last night's operational run of the GFS, a zero-Z run in terms of the surface forecast maps, let's just take a quick look at the upper air features. Oftentimes you want a couple of jet streaks, one in the lower levels of the atmosphere, one in the upper levels of the atmosphere whenever you're dealing with a potential snowstorm or ice storm in the Mid-Atlantic region. These two combine help to produce some upward motion that is required for low pressure development and intensification, in this case along the Mid-Atlantic coastline. This is indeed the forecast map for Thursday afternoon, early afternoon, from the zero-Z GFS model run. A very, very healthy looking upper level jet streak. This is way up at the 250 millibar level, and in this particular area you'll have upward motion. This is as this jet moves off to the north and east, there'll be a lot of upward motion over the Mid-Atlantic region, helping with the intensification of that storm system off the Mid-Atlantic coastline. And here's a forecast map of the lower level jet streak at 850 millibars. This is just a couple thousand feet, and here we have that enhanced area at the same time, midday, early afternoon Thursday. This is a representation here, an indication of a low-level jet, and again, that will lead to upward motion right here off the Mid-Atlantic coastline. This is what we call the left exit region of the jet streak, the higher-level jet streak. The right entrance region will be where there's upward motion. Again, both focusing in on the Mid-Atlantic coastline, so there's certainly reason to believe that low pressure will end up right in that region. Notice also high pressure to the north, anchoring in that cold air mass raising the chances for accumulating snow at the onset of this storm system early midday on Thursday. Well, let's walk through the forecast maps from the Zero-Z operational run of the GFS. As we start off today, a lot of impressive snow still falling from last night's system over the eastern Great Lakes, up across southeastern Canada, an ice storm up in interior northern New England. A little bit of light rain and drizzle still falling along the I-95 corridor region. That actually pulls on out of here. Let's move forward a little bit. Kicks on out of here. The winds start kicking up out of the west to northwest this afternoon and tonight. Could get gusts up to 30 miles per hour or so, and we'll reach the upper 40s, maybe 50 degrees in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City this afternoon. But then the cold air starts to move, and you can see, again, winds blow counterclockwise around lows. This will be a northwest flow in the overnight hours, and it brings in a cold air mass for the day on Wednesday. Probably high temperatures in the I-95 corridor region confined to 30. Philly, New York City, maybe 35 in D.C. on Wednesday afternoon. Dry air mass, you'll see some dew points dropping quite a bit overnight tonight, especially through the day on Wednesday, with high pressure to the north and east. That's a key factor. Here we get into the Thursday morning time frame. Again, that low pressure starts off in the deep south, but this time, instead of running up into the Ohio Valley, well to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region, it'll end up right here in that area of upper motion off the mid-Atlantic coastline, hence a colder scenario for the mid-Atlantic region. Here we have accumulating snow at the onset early Thursday. Farther to the south across southern Virginia, ice, sleet, freezing rain, and it looks like eventually there's a changeover in D.C., Philadelphia, even New York City after several hours of accumulating snow. And the time frame for that changeover, of course, is crucial in determining how much snow can fall at the onset, but definitely a thumping of snow at the onset is possible all the way from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. We're talking early Thursday, midday Thursday, before any potential changeover to sleet and freezing rain. This is the forecast map for late evening Thursday night going into the midnight hour. Again, remember, temperatures at the surface will be reluctant to go above freezing. Maybe can reach 33 degrees in some of the urban areas, but don't be surprised if they stay at or below freezing. Hence, this could be quite a slick situation with an ice buildup on top of whatever snow accumulates earlier in the event. And here we go by early Friday morning. Look at that low pressure location right here off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Still some wintry mix or perhaps a changeover back to snow before it ends Friday morning. This looks like a late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning event going all the way into Friday morning, again with significant snow and ice in much of the mid-Atlantic region. So obviously we'll have updates later today and especially during the day on Wednesday. There's still a little time here. We have to work out the details. A complicated forecast whenever you're dealing with sleet and freezing rain potential. All that requires is a thin layer of warmer air aloft to change the precipitation from snow to sleet, and a little bit thicker of a layer aloft to change it from sleet to freezing rain. Very difficult to forecast, and of course the timing of that changeover will dictate how much snow falls on the front end, but certainly a thumping of good snow is possible at the front end of the system early Thursday in the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. So stay tuned for updates later today at Perspective Weather. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.